Hi everyone, welcome back to Event Advice by CrowdComms. I feel like I say the same thing every time, but I'm joined by Matt Allen, Managing Director. In this video, we're going to be talking about exhibitors and effective follow-up strategies. So this is one of your favorite subjects, I know.
Love it.
And you are an absolute guru as an exhibitor and a salesperson. So let's just jump straight in.
Okay.
Let's start with following up straight after an event. What would you do with an exhibitor straight after an event who joined your event and exhibited?
Can I take it back to pre-event?
Oh, yes, good idea.
Because we attend trade shows, the journey begins well in advance of the trade show.
Years sometimes, actually,
yeah,
straight after the last one.
Certainly, yeah, months. So we're looking at the audience that are attending. We'll be positioning people onto the stand that are relevant to the audience that are attending. We'll have a mixture of potential clients or existing clients. We're going to know who they are. We're going to be promoting out our attendance. We're going to be focusing on products that we want to really make sure people are aware of that we're doing at that show. We'll have our email campaigns ready to go for the event. We'll have social campaigns. So the team will have a number of posts leading up to it. So much of the work is done beforehand. When you get to the event, the objective is to keep the conversations really succinct and really focused. You are not going to sell someone the product right there and then, not something like ours. Our aim at a trade show is just to listen to their requirements, and then we will follow up with a solution afterwards, okay? So when we're doing our follow-ups, I'm making sure that I have retained the information about their problem, what they're trying to solve.
Yep.
Now, the way that we do that, if we're using our technology, would be to have a tailored piece of technology that captures who they are, captures where they're coming from, captures their role, and then we tailor the information that's going to enable us to follow up effectively. So when I'm doing it, we'll have, sounds really brutal, I do apologize about this, but we will have a star rating, which is the quality of the conversation.
Yep.
That is a tricky one because I want everyone to be really positive, but there has to be some form of a reality checker. And what this does, it enables us to prioritize our time and efforts immediately after the event. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll have an overall star quality. We'll probably have something like which of the products were most of interest, how many events, what's the nature of the event. So it'll be the target, the sector, the size, what technology they're currently using. Not necessarily the actual specific technology, but it will be the type of technology. They've got a ticketing system. They're using a badge printing system on site. They're using an event app. So we're going to want to capture as much of that information. I will always ask them where they're from, because I want to know if they've traveled. If they've traveled, it will delay when I send them a follow-up. So if I'm over the stateside and I know they've got to fly back to the UK or they're going back to Europe, I want them to get home. I want them to not be bothered with getting an email from me while they're flying or traveling. So I'm going to make sure that they get that comms, that information from me at a time where I know they are settled, back home, back at work. So they are focused on receiving that information and remembering my conversation. The worst thing to do is to blanket send out detailed information when people are traveling, because you'll get lost. So have some way of establishing when they're going to be ready to receive that information. How's your next few weeks look? Well, we've actually got a huge event next week and it's going to take all of my effort. I was so busy. I said, is the week after a really good time to send this information? Would the Tuesday be good? Well, actually Tuesday I'm back in the office. Great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you to it because I know you're super busy and I know exactly what that feels like. And I'm going to make sure I send the information to you. That also gives us time to make sure that we send really focused, high quality information to that person. And we're going to send it, we're going to tailor it, and we're going to make sure that it's really pertinent and relevant to them. So it's no different from any sales conversation. Listen, learn from, show respect, give them space, and follow up with quality.
Yep. Good sales practices. So let's talk about it from the event organizer's point of view. If they were organizing an event that had exhibitors there. What do you think are the best strategies for communicating with those exhibitors? What good things have you seen with the ones that you've attended? Which ones have we helped with? You know, what are your tips and tricks for working with exhibitors?
Firstly, you're looking at the tools to drive conversations to the exhibitors. You don't want to turn up at an event and know that you've got the ability to book meetings. So again, we talk about this, it's the importance of communication, isn't it? It's that comm strategy out. If revenue from exhibitors is really important to you, make sure you demonstrate value to your exhibitors. Communicate to them that they've got a meeting booking facility where they can book meetings, receive meetings. They can personalize their profile, they can upload videos, they can add in different company representatives. Make them aware of how they can improve their profile using the technology. That's a key one. Lead capture. Give them the ability to create a personalized tool that captures that information on site so that they can get that information to follow up with high quality comms. But ultimately, it's about just communicating with them the tools that you have as an organizer in place available for them to get that return on investment.
And when you talk about those digital tools for exhibitors, getting them on there early, getting them ahead of time, it's like you touched on it before, the kind of run up to the event is communicating with them all the way through, making sure they can get the best out of it.
Yep.
And then communicating them while it's happening, or would you advise people to leave the exhibitors to it at that point, and then follow up with them after the event?
You're not likely to be kind of as an organizer sending out too much during the event to the exhibitors because they're going to be absolutely focused. You know, when I'm at an event, I don't want an organizer near me. They shouldn't have to be. I should have everything I need to make sure I make the most of that event.
Yep.
We've got IMEX coming up. I've got 77 appointments booked already for it's in 3 weeks' time. Got 77 appointments. I can go in there. I can think, okay, who's this organization? Who's best to meet that particular company? Have we worked with them before? What other businesses have we worked with that are like them? I can be really strategic because I've done so much of the work beforehand. When you turn up there as an exhibitor, I just want to focus on doing it. I want to be in the moment, chatting with them, understanding their problems, and thinking about how we're going to solve it.
And when you get comms after an event, when you've exhibited, you really want that to be personalized, don't you? You don't want them to just send you a generic email saying, hope the event went well, see you next year.
No, so
You want them to know something about you.
yeah, when you talk about like an email campaigns, it's like the shell. Thank you for great to see you at, a bit of information, but actually it's about understand. It's another way that you can demonstrate you understand their pain points.
Yeah.
So it's tailored, it's personalized. Thanks for telling me about the event in Las Vegas that you have coming up in November. Sounds like you've got pretty much everything in place already. What we did discuss could be of a benefit to you is the badge printing technology. And here's a solution, and here's a video of what that looks like.
Yeah, so learn what they didn't use and maybe try and see what they could do better next year. So actual personalized advice for those exhibitors to get a little bit more out of. Particularly as I guess you, as an organizer, you would know everyone's performance across the board. You could see which exhibitors got the most out of it, which didn't quite maximize their opportunities and sort of
You can in our tech, and I'm sure you can in others, but in our tech, when we're running the big trade shows, I'll know how many appointments people have made, how many of them were video appointments, how many of them were one-to-one appointments, how many were delivered, how many messages were sent, how many messages were received, how many alerts, notifications were sent that were sponsored, what was the uptake of those alerts, those notifications. So we're going to have all that data available. If other companies aren't doing the same, then I'd be very surprised. You as an organizer should be able to have a snapshot of the effectiveness of each exhibitor there. You've got to be able to justify how you position it next year.
Yeah.
I can see that you had 77 people attend your stand. I can see that you scanned 120 QR codes. I can see that you've done 57 messages. We don't know the nature of the messages, but we know that there have been messages sent.
Yeah, and it gives you areas to target for next year, right? Areas where you can improve, areas where you can help people. Wonderful. Well, that was an absolute masterclass. Thank you for letting me pick your brain on that.
A lot of waffle, Will, a lot of waffle.
No, absolutely golden waffle. Okay, so if loads more videos on the crowdcomms.com/videos website. But I think for now, we'll leave it there and we'll see you next time.